Just a heads up, in addition to the holiday items that I've mentioned previously, we also have a few leftover cozy penguin plushies from our previous sale. So if you happen to miss out on it the first time, now's the chance to get it, with no pre-order wait time either. However, once these are sold out, this product will be gone for good. So make sure to grab yours while you still have the chance. Previously on the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolved.
I consider the man to be a mentor of sorts. He taught me a number of important lessons.
He did? Such as what? How to get a deal on fish and chips?
Well,
Yes! Oh my God! Got it! Got him! And now back to licking at people. Hello! NicoB! Back with some more of the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. When we last left off, we discovered, yes, Male Strongheart, who is the Reaper, to the surprise of really no one. I would say that's probably like the least surprising thing of this game so far, was that it actually is that Male Strongheart is truly the top of all this. Unfortunately, the game doesn't really linger too much on it. You know, it's not like we spend a ton of time like, who could it possibly be? And well, actually, I guess technically this whole trial has been trying to find the Reaper, right? And we're all pretty sure it was not Van Zieks. But once Van Zieks realized that bit of information came out that Gregson actually admitted that the evidence against Asugi's father was fabricated, that's when it was like, oh, yeah, it's totally got to be fucking Male Strongheart. What a cool ass moment that was, man. I was thinking, like, I feel like the only way this guy's gonna see any kind of justice, because he is the top dog, right, is that the people have to basically turn against him. And seemingly it looked like he was gonna get away with it if Holmes hadn't come in there and basically stirred up the crowd and said, you know, hey, you guys actually have all the power here if you push for it. And similarly, Male Strongheart kind of fucked himself over by making such a bold statement at the start that we will discover the truth, right? The whole truth and nothing but the truth at the start of this. Yeah, I will be curious. I'll be curious if at any point Strongheart will actually come down to the stand, or if he'll always just be at the helm there. I think probably always at the helm, because if he came down the stand, then who would take over? I guess the previous judge, but I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting. This is sort of unprecedented, right? Like that we're trying basically the judge of the case that we're currently in. Not just like, oh yeah, you know, Japanese judge who we just tried before. And actually, now I think about it, it's almost like a theming, isn't it? Because that is sort of the case with this one, where we now tried the judge of Japan, and now we're going to basically be doing the exact same thing with basically the top judge of Great Britain. But this time we're actually going to be doing it during the case that we're in, which is going to be very interesting. But yeah, I've sort of been informed by you guys that very likely we have probably about 3 episodes left. Likely 2 left for maybe this portion of the trial. And then 1 more for like the post-game stuff, as well as my personal thoughts. So cool. You guys did also give me an indication saying that probably the best place I can maybe stop for this next part, assuming I don't just completely ass blast my way over there, would likely be during the 3rd cross-examination. That's probably a good place to stop for this video, because apparently after that moment is where things really escalate. And okay, that sounds good. I think probably what I'll end up doing is I will likely stop then at that point, or at somewhere around that point for this episode. And then the next one, I will probably just go ahead and record the entire thing from beginning to end, which will probably be a extra long one that will likely get split into 2 episodes. That's sort of my plan for how this is gonna go. But anyway, last episode, Cheshima and Lee said, my favorite moment of this whole case, maybe in this whole duality, is Naruhodo saying, Kazuma, I'm not doing this for you, I'm doing it for the truth. It really solidifies how Naruhodo has stopped looking up to Kazuma, taken off the rose-tinted glasses, and become his own person. This whole time, he's been practicing law with the intent of carrying on Kazuma's legacy, and when Kazuma was revealed to be still alive, it left him in a bit of limbo in terms of his whole identity. Telling Kazuma that he wasn't his main focus anymore felt like Naruhodo truly owning his new goals and character the games have been building up to. I had loved him so much already, but this line really made Naruhodo my favorite Ace Attorney character. This game is phenomenal. I couldn't agree more, Tashima. That was really a fucking great moment. Because yeah, it's true. Like, throughout the entirety of this series, God, like he always brings up Kazuma, right? I'm carrying his sword, I'm carrying his will, doing this for my best pal, and then at the end, yeah, he's now basically cut ties with that part of him, you know, acknowledged that, you know what, I'm my own person. The truth is what matters here, and regardless of who gets in my way, regardless if it is my best friend, the person that I once looked up to, if he's the one in my way, I don't care. I'm going to do whatever I can to reach that truth because I choose to do it, right? Not because I feel like I'm obligated to do it for somebody departed or somebody still here or because of some role that I was forced into, but because I want the truth. And the truth is important. And it's such a fucking great character arc, man. It really is. Like, it's a character arc that extends far beyond just simply he's a better lawyer now than he was at the start of the series, right? That's sort of a given. That's not the only part of his character arc. It's actually becoming his own person and not being tied down by Asogi. And what a great way to sort of cap off his character for the end of this series. And now, maybe, even possibly, taking down the corruption within the British government himself, which is something that Asogi has been trying to do as well, but I believe he will not be able to do so without the help of Naruhodo. But Tashima, thank you so much for your enlightening and an excellent look at Naruhodo's character. And it's for that reason you are comment of the day. All right, guys. So apparently there are no more to be continues. This is literally it. So we are essentially going to be hopping into the final part of this game, which is just, goddamn, dude. I can't wait to see how this shit gets capped off. Let's get started. I guess we're just going to be hopping right into it since there's no real break, right? Yup. Oh my God. Hey, she's up there too. What the hell? So technically I wasn't wrong. Why did I get so much shit for it? They brought up Maria Gorey after all. So, witness, please say your name and occupation for the court. Yushin Mikatoba, lecturer in forensic medicine at the Imperial Yume University, Tokyo, Japan. And this, does everyone lose a child? She's sort of staring at me. And Professor Mikatoba, the young lady beside you is? This is Dr. Maria Gorey, Scotland Yard's practicing coroner. The daughter of Dr. Scythe, I understand.
Yes, Dr. Scythe.
I'm afraid I can't tell you why she's here. She just appeared.
You're pretty.
Yeah, I know I am.
You summoned the strange Japanese man as a witness to that autopsy. But you don't summon Mama. That makes no sense. She was there too.
That's about the size of it. I mean, to be fair, they won't let her show up. I've had her eyes boring into the side of my cheek constantly. Plus, I was in the antechamber too.
Poor man. The idea of it's making me shudder.
Revelations about Dr. Scythe that came to light some days ago defiled the reputation of the entire judiciary. She was therefore deemed unfit to appear as a witness in today's proceedings. Meaning what you just don't want to have her talk about what she actually knows. The Ministry of Justice's decision on that is final.
Well, we wouldn't want any more perjury to be committed, would we? The Ministry of Justice. Some questionable strings are being pulled, I think.
It's funny that, yeah, I sort of got this feeling, you guys brought this up too, how there's a distinct possibility, and I think Holmes is predicting it too, that if they had been allowed to go to break, maybe the Mikatoba wouldn't have made it to the stand. Would he necessarily have died? I don't know. I feel like more that he probably would have vanished, you know? Not so much like, well, we found his dead body, more that he just suddenly disappeared, and they're like, well, we don't know what happened to him, but, you know... people will be asking. It will still be probably a question, a bit of a rumor, but nobody be able to prove anything, right? He probably would just disappear. You wouldn't find his body. You find no trace of him, and that'd just be the end of it. But fortunately, Holmes was like, nope, he's already here. No break needed. He's coming right out. Here he goes. Here he goes. I remember you, Dr. Mikatoba, but I certainly never expected to be meeting you under these circumstances. Yes, it's been a long while, Lord Strongheart. The prosecution understands you were a visiting student of forensic science in London until 10 years ago. That's right. I studied under Dr. Watson at St. Sinners.
So you were present at the autopsy of my brother, Lord Klint of Anziques.
I was, yes. I assisted Dr. Watson with the entire procedure.
Mama is far more skilled than any Japanese man.
Well, excuse me, bitch. There's subtle racism. Well, Dr. Watson asked me to be his primary assistant on that occasion.
And this autopsy report was actually penned by you, I believe.
Yes. I noted all of the doctor's findings, and when we were done, he read through the document and signed it.
Poor Mama. As secondary assistant, she wouldn't have had such a good view of all the innards.
Ew. So, Professor, do you remember Inspector Gregson? Yes, of course. If it wasn't for his insistence, Lord Van Zeek's autopsy would never have happened. But he was absolutely convinced that it would reveal decisive evidence against Genshin, you see. So Lord Strongheart had to entreat the nobility to allow it to take place. Do correct me if I'm wrong, my lord. It was as a result of that autopsy that a mass murderer was apprehended and justice was done. But Gregson admitted it before he was killed. He admitted that the results of the autopsy were fabricated. You were there at the time, so you must testify. You have an obligation to tell the truth about what really went on. Absolutely. That's precisely why I'm here.
And that's why I'm here too.
Very well then. You will give your formal testimony now, witness. But before you begin, a word of warning. Oh? You will state truthfully and accurately what you saw and what you heard at that time. I wouldn't dream of doing otherwise, my lord. The moment your testimony verges on supposition, I will expel you from my courtroom. Remember that. He's like, this shit better not turn back against me. The autopsy of Klint Van Zeeks. For my own observations, I couldn't say there was any indication of the autopsy results having been fabricated. Death resulted from a wound made by a Western-style sword, transfixing the heart. That I found a little strange.
There were no other signs of internal injury. Nothing questionable at all. It was just that beautiful but dangerous piece of evidence removed from the man's stomach.
Presumed to have been swallowed by the victim as a way of posthumously identifying his assailant.
What is it? I've been dying to know! No indication! Nothing to suggest fabrication!
Professor Mikotoba, are you certain about that?
Well, nothing that I could positively identify as such, much less swear to in testimony. Ah! Well, that clears things up nicely.
The only fabrication here, Sogi, has come from you.
What? You claim the inspector confessed just before his death, but that is the fabrication. No, he freely acknowledged it. I swear he did. Freely? With the tip of a sword at his throat, the man was clearly at his wit's end. The court will give no credence to this confession that was uttered in obvious desperation.
Quite simply, there was nothing questionable about the investigation of Lord Klint Van Zeek's death.
And with this testimony, we have, without question, uncovered the whole truth of the matter. Ooh, damn. Seeing him just fucking laugh like that? Holy shit. If I may, my lord. There was most certainly something questionable about it, and the whole truth does rather elude us, I feel. I beg your pardon. Well, you're obviously aware of the facts of the case. All four of the professor's previous victims died when an enormous beast was set upon them and ripped out their throats.
Oh, such horrifying crimes.
Yeah. But curiously, the killer's last victim, Lord Klint Van Zeeks, suffered a different fate.
Yes, you're right.
He was stabbed through the heart with a sword.
That's enough. I believe I warned you about this, witness. I promise to curtail your testimony as soon as it enters the realms of supposition or speculation. Huh.
Very well, my lord. In that case, the defense will pursue a conclusion to this during the cross-examination.
What?
I have the right to cross-examine every witness after the testimony. And I fully intend to exercise that right.
Ryunosuke.
I'm afraid that even the presiding judge has no authority to contravene the letter of the law. As I'm sure every member of the judiciary present in the gallery would agree.
Everybody shut the fuck up, please. Very well, you may begin, counsel. However, the moment your argument strays from the established facts, I will not hesitate to bring the cross-examination to an end. Proceed with caution.
Yes, my lord.
All right. Well, clearly what I want to press, right, is the thing of the eggs. We won't know what the fuck it was, the 8. We don't know what it is yet. However, we're going to start from the beginning, because I'm so invested, I just want to hear everything. So from my own observations, I couldn't say there was any indication of the autopsy results having been fabricated.
You couldn't say?
No, sadly not. But then you couldn't say there wasn't any indication either, could you? No, true, I couldn't. I was at Dr. Watson's side as he performed the procedure, recording what he did. But at times, of course, he instructed me to fetch implements and such like. Whilst I was away from the operating table, obviously I could have missed something.
And at those times, what was the secondary assistant doing?
Following this Japanese man's orders to adjust the lighting or pass some implements. But that doesn't mean Mama wasn't a vital part of the team.
Quite, yes. So would you kindly refrain from staring at my cheek like that? Professor Migatoba, think. Was there nothing at all that seemed out of place to you? Well, yes, there was, as a matter of fact.
Death resulted from a wound made by a Western-style sword transfixing the heart. That I found a little strange. Mata! In all of the previous 4 killings attributed to the professor, the victims were killed by an enormous dog, I believe. Their throats were, well, mauled?
Correct. And yet Lord Van Zieks was stabbed.
Do you mean to say you think Lord Klint Van Zieks may not, in fact, have been one of the professor's victims?
There is no basis on which to doubt the findings of the investigations carried out at the time.
But
Genshin Isogi confessed to all of his crimes upon his arrest. He admitted to having taken the lives of all 5 members of the aristocracy. Yet the beast that was used to carry out the killings was never identified. Really? No evidence was found to suggest that Genshin had ever kept a dog.
a true hound of hell.
Really? That's interesting. That is very interesting. So they never found the actual animal that was used to do all the killings? Hey, Strongheart, you have a dog, dude? There were no other signs of eternal injury. Nothing questionable at all.
But, you weren't actually present at the autopsy yourself, were you, Dr. Gorey?
Does that matter?
Well, I just wonder how useful your testimony could be in that case, really. I mean, it would be different if your mother, Dr. Scythe, were in the stand, but...
I've read all the paperwork about the case, and Mama's told me the story countless times. The statement I just made is exactly what's written in the autopsy report.
I did confirm that myself at the time. It's true. Besides the stab wound, there were no other signs of internal trauma.
I see.
Mama told me all about it.
Oh?
She said there was nothing of note internally. But they did find an amazing piece of evidence. Something unbelievable.
Unbelievable? What do you mean?
Come on, Dr. Gorey. What was it?
It was just that beautiful but dangerous piece of evidence that was removed from the man's stomach.
What is it?
What exactly was it, though? What does beautiful but dangerous mean?
What do you do, eat the blade?
Well, it was sparkly and round with a hole, as if it might slip over a finger, perhaps.
It was a ring. Belonged to Genshin Isogi. My father's ring was inside the victim's stomach! At the time, Genshin wore a large ring on the digitimus cordis of his left hand, the fourth a ring finger. I understood it was some sort of keepsake. When my father left Japan for London 16 years ago, I was 8 years old, but I remember that ring.
You do?
My father's possessions were sent to our family home in Japan after his death, but the ring wasn't among them. Obviously not. It was a key piece of evidence. It remains under lock and key in the stores of Scotland Yard to this day. After the autopsy, Genshin was summoned by the police to check for the presence of his ring. It wasn't on his hand, of course. Moreover, there were deep abrasions on his fingers where it had been pulled off. They arrested the man there and then, right before my eyes. How could they?
I brought the ring along with me today.
What?
Here it is, a bit dusty from the years in the stores.
Oh.
But good gracious, yes, that's it. Haven't seen that in 10 long years. And that was found inside the victim's stomach. Yes, I'm afraid so.
You hesitated there, Professor Mikotoba. Should we read something into that?
Well, just that thinking back now, I didn't actually witness the moment it was extracted from the victim's body.
Oh my, really?
At that precise moment, Dr. Watson had asked me to fetch him a new scalpel, you see. Dr. Gorey, the removal of historic evidence from the stores requires my consent, does it not? Uh-oh.
However it came to be here, the court cannot deny that this is crucial evidence for today's proceedings.
Very well, you may submit it. Or she's potentially doubting Strongheart as well. That's why she brought it here without him knowing. Mr. Sogi's ring, a ring belonging to Genshin Sogi found in Lord Klint Van Zeek's stomach during autopsy. The claws clasping the gem look sharp enough to cause a very nasty scratch. It's not the sort of ring normally seen in Japan. They almost look like claws protecting that jewel.
We must examine it very carefully, Mr. Naruhodo. Very carefully indeed.
Oh yeah. Okay. Nice gem, bro.
These fat claws are doing a good job protecting the equally fat gemstone in the middle of this ring.
Yes, if you were clumsy, you could give yourself a rather nasty cut on them, I should think.
Ow! Now my finger's bleeding. The claws really are sharp.
Oh my, that was very quick clumsiness, Mr. Naruhodo. Even for you.
What makes such a dangerous ring? Couldn't swallow it without doing yourself some fairly serious damage, surely.
A sticky monkey bun of about that size would go down much better. With some red bean paste in the middle.
Someone as clumsy as me would probably manage to choke on it somehow.
Is that it? Nothing else? So basically, swallowing this would be difficult. We're just sort of making that clear. Presumed to have been swallowed by the victim as a way of posthumously identifying his assailant.
And that was the decisive piece of evidence that led to Genshin Sogi's arrest. Correct.
After further investigations by Scotland Yard, the man admitted to his crimes. That's a lie. My father was no killer. Barack Van Zeeks, it was you. You twisted the truth to suit your purposes. Well, he still believes it, huh?
Your hatred of me doesn't change the facts that were established 10 years ago. My brother Klint had closed in on the professor. In the end, he exposed the man and put a stop to his lethal rampage. In the way only a man of my brother's caliber could.
He bit off his fucking finger.
That's everything, is it?
Poor father. He looks so troubled.
Perhaps because 10 years ago, something happened that's been weighing on his mind.
Oh.
I could say worse words. That phrasing was very deliberate, I'm sure.
I wonder if he's had his suspicions all these years.
If that's the case, we need to use this cross-examination to prove what really happened and remove any trace of doubt.
If we could establish that Kazuma-sama's claim of fabricated evidence was true.
We can't shy away from this now, even if what we might uncover could lead to total calamity.
Don't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. I'll be right beside you, whatever may happen. Even if we both go to jail.
Thanks. I think just simply presenting here, I presume to have been swallowed by this victim.
Objection.
Okay, I guess not.
Well, Sammy is so full of shit, and you can suck my balls,
Counsel. Okay, I guess not. 7 removed from the man's stomach. There were no other signs of internal injury. Nothing. Oh, wait. There were no other signs of internal injury. Nothing. Oh.
Objection.
There we go.
That's the one. The court has heard that the ring was extracted from the victim's stomach. But you didn't actually see it being removed, did you, Professor Mikotoba?
That's right. As I said in my testimony before, at that moment, I was fetching a replacement scalpel that Dr. Watson had requested.
In other words, you can neither confirm nor deny whether this ring, in fact, really came from the victim's stomach or not.
What are you suggesting, counsel?
That the ring was never in the victim's stomach to begin with. It's entirely feasible that Dr. Watson fabricated that detail about the autopsy.
What are you saying? That Dr. Watson?
That Dr. Watson was in possession of the ring in advance after it was somehow stolen from Mr. Sogi. And he produced it during the procedure, pretending to have found it there and then in the victim's stomach.
Objection! Objection!
Supposition at best. What possible evidence do you have to support such a rash claim? This evidence, right here.
That's the autopsy report. It's explicit in that report, counsel. Other than the ring, nothing unusual was noted internally. So I'm not sure how you intend to prove your point.
You've already done it for me, my lord. The lack of internal injury says it all.
What?
To swallow a ring of this size would require considerable effort and determination. In addition to its size, there were sharp claws around the gemstone to contend with. My brother was a determined man, and on the brink of death even more so, I'm sure. He would have stopped at nothing to ensure that evil killer was brought to justice. But if he really had swallowed that enormous ring, it's inconceivable that no traces of its passage down his throat would have remained as internal trauma.
No! And there you arrived at the sticking point. That's precisely why I had my doubts about the findings myself 10 years ago. Then why didn't you say something at the time? I did. I still remember the conversation I had with Dr. Watson in the laboratory that day.
Look at this! Now this is a very curious thing to find in a man's stomach, wouldn't you say?
But isn't that rather peculiar, Dr. Watson?
What's that now, Mikotoba?
Well, if he swallowed a ring of that size, with those sharp metal claws that it has, surely you'd expect to see damage to the throat and the esophagus, torn mucous membranes at the very least.
Dr. Mikotoba, may I remind you that I have vastly more experience than you?
I'm terribly sorry.
I could think of plenty of ways to explain why no injuries would be seen. Now, let's say this. The victim would appear to have ingested the item as evidence to identify his assailant. Go ahead, write it down.
Wow, just shot down, huh? So I was right. Dr. Watson deliberately fabricated the results of the autopsy to implicate my father. I'm disappointed, counsel. That argument is nothing more than speculation. What? Dr. Watson was Britain's leading authority on forensic science and autopsy work. There is no scientific basis on which to doubt the man's expert opinion. Pardon the interruption, my lord, but damage to the mucous membranes of the throat is easily identified, even in living subjects.
Using a device called an endoscope, recently demonstrated in practical use in France. I want one. The government could pay.
I don't think so. And Dr. Gorey, rest assured that your removal of evidence from the stores without permission will not go unpunished.
We open up the dead to find the truth.
I beg your pardon.
But Mama, she chose to stitch her corpses up with all their secrets inside. That's wrong.
Dr. Gorey, it's looking as though she's chosen to walk a different path to her mama.
Oh shit. Fuck, dude.
Fuck this glass. They want to drink this shit. Yes, the ring.
What about the ring?
I've just remembered something. An earlier incident. What incident? The one I recounted to you before. about a memory I have.
Oh, when he was attacked by like some random thugs and Genshin protected him?
Of Genshin Sogi saving my life.
What? My father saved your life?
It was 10 years ago, on a foggy night. Genshin and I were walking down some back streets at a late hour. All of a sudden...
Don't make a peep. You're coming with us.
God, Genshin looks so badass.
all of our assailants were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scarves.
Bang!
The next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on the cobbled street. Blood was seeping from his left hand. He shielded me. He was on the ring finger of his left hand that he used to wear that ring. Are you saying? I've always believed those thugs were after me, but now I'm starting to question if perhaps I wasn't the intended target after all.
Wait, but...
Genshin was arrested 2 days after that attack, and in that short interval, the decisive evidence needed to indict him was miraculously found. You mean the ring was stolen from him? You think that's what those thugs were after that night?
Wow. What did he do, blast his fucking finger off? You pathetic coward! You expect me to believe that you weren't involved?
What do you mean by that?
It was you, wasn't it? You're the one who took it! You stole my father's ring! You set the whole thing up so you could paint him as a mass murderer and have him arrested!
Kazuma, open your eyes!
Ryunosuke,
You must know deep down. The truth can be completely obscured, even when your judgment is only slightly clouded. But at the moment, you seem to be floundering through a dense fog. Is that why you were so insistent I should be present in this trial? To see you like this?
well, this is an amusing spectacle. What a grandiose expression on your face, as if you were Lady Justice herself. It seems that you've thoroughly convinced yourself of this alleged fabrication of the autopsy results. So much so that you're apparently blind to the blatant contradiction that will be born out of it.
What?
Though it's extremely hard to believe, let us imagine that there was some misconduct during the autopsy.
If that were the case, why would Asogi not have disputed the findings in his trial?
Oh. In the closed court hearing 10 years ago, the defendant never once denied the claims against him. Isn't that right, Lord Van Zeeks?
Yes, that is indeed correct. Upon hearing the verdict of guilty, he merely closed his eyes, quietly accepting the judgment. The actions of a man who has accepted responsibility for his deeds and is resigned to his fate. But then...
Oh my, that's very strange. If Mr. Suki did nothing to oppose the charges against him, then that would surely mean there was no fabricated evidence.
An obvious conclusion at which you should have arrived many minutes ago, Prosecutor Sogi. Your twisted loyalty and clouded judgment are hampering your ability for logical thought. Genshin Asogi's silence at his hearing can mean only one thing. There was no fabrication of evidence during the autopsy of his final victim 10 years ago. Ah!
Ow. But if that autopsy was all above board, there'll be nothing to stop Lord Strongheart bringing this trial to an immediate conclusion.
Objection.
Objection! It's me! What the hell's a loud boom there? Thank you, Ryunosuke. If it wasn't for your frank words just now, This trial may very well have ended prematurely.
Kazuma? Are you finally out of your tunnel vision here?
What's this latest absurdity, Counsel? My lord, your reasoning is perfectly sound. But for one giant hole, I beg your pardon. You claim my father's silence was due to the fact that there was no fabricated evidence. But there's another possible explanation. You overlooked the possibility that he had a reason for maintaining that silence. Objection!
Silence that would lead to him being convicted and sent to his death. If the autopsy results were an invention, there's no conceivable reason why the man wouldn't have protested.
Objection!
Oh, those results were an invention, all right. There's no question of that. Or are you forgetting that 2 people with a connection to that autopsy have been assassinated? Music's going in. If I force the grievances I feel from my mind, I start to see you in a very different light. I think perhaps it's you who's been living in delusion these 10 years.
Me?
Kazuma-sama has created one last chance for us here, Mr. Naruhodo. If we can only show there was a reason for his father's silence at his trial.
A reason why the man would have said nothing even though he was innocent. Could it have been a part of some negotiation, perhaps? Enough rhetoric. The court must be shown evidence. What proof do you have that could possibly explain Asogi's silence in court?
Is it the Asogi papers? Wait. What was the papers? I hereby request that upon my death, any and all material possessions and wealth belonging to me in London be delivered to my son, Kazuma Asogi, in the Empire of Japan. His deep sadness, I accept my fate in this foreign land, and then also I will never see my homeland or family again, but I regret nothing about my chosen path. This? Yeah.
This is the defense's answer to that question.
You're full of shit. Never mind. Fuck me. God damn it. Okay. Keep ruining these moments. Wow, I really thought that was it. All right, I guess it, well, I don't know. Did it really give an answer? I guess I just thought maybe he wanted his material possessions and wealth to go back to Kazuma. I don't get it. Why the fuck is this not the right answer? I'm like looking at what he said too. He says, well, that perhaps he was saying nothing in exchange for some sort of clemency. That could be it. What the fuck? What do I present here? I'm so confused. If it's not the fucking papers, what else would it be? Everything else relates to Gregson, to be perfectly frank.
Take that!
Oh my god, it is that. So wait, okay, so like I was reading this. To be honest, I just threw this shit out there though. I don't know. So indication that the jailbreak plot was conceived prior to the convict's incarceration. It's believed that the convict engaged in some form of a negotiation with prison staff in order to secure assistance. Full disclosure information regarding these negotiations will be demanded. So I guess he was like, I already have a way out. I'm not gonna push it, I guess? I guess? Is that what we're saying? I still feel like that could have been the fallback, but like, otherwise, I feel like you still should have tried. I don't know, that's what Naruhodo says.
It's true that Getsuya Sogi's silence during this trial resulted in his conviction, but that didn't actually lead to his execution. On the contrary, it led to his escape. An escape that was only possible because he'd been sentenced to death. Oh, right. Oh, right. Fuck. Of course. He had to be sentenced to die. Of course. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Although I find hard to believe my father would have negotiated in that way. The defense is correct. A fake execution, falsification of a death certificate, and a jailbreak inside a coffin. Clearly such an elaborate plan couldn't have been carried out by my father alone. He must have had the help of a collaborator from the judiciary. I have here the dismissal notes of the chief warder who was working in the prison at the time. The notes read, there are indications that the jailbreak was in planning prior to the inmate's incarceration. In other words, there were suggestions of some sort of negotiation between Mr. Asogi and the British government.
In exchange for his silence in court, he was given an assurance that he would be broken out of prison. Yes, with that sort of clandestine agreement in place, I can imagine he would have kept very quiet.
I would go further than that, in fact. I would say that the elaborate jailbreak of Mr. Asogi can be explained in no other way Order! Order! First fabricated evidence and now a jailbreak conspiracy. Of course, because it's all intimately linked.
The prosecution wishes to summon new witnesses to the stand.
Witnesses.
People who can testify about the jailbreak that took place 10 years ago.
Ah!
Governor Caden and the poor chief warder of the prison.
I won't allow this trial to turn into a farce. To summon the governor of the prison after all these years? Oh, it wouldn't be any trouble, my lord. What?
Father?
My dear friend may appear a little rattle-pated at times, but I can assure you he is extremely thorough. He wired both Barclay and the local prison earlier, asking Governor Caden and Mr. Vigil to attend the Old Bailey as a matter of extreme urgency.
Mr. Holmes did that? Are you telling me that?
Both men are, unless I'm much mistaken, waiting just outside the courtroom at this very moment. Wow. Mr. Holmes, dude, goddamn, boy. My lord, you must permit this trial to proceed as you declared at its outset. You promised that we would stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings.
Damn it, I did say that, didn't I?
Very well. Bring in the witnesses.
Make no mistake, I too would like nothing more than to lay this business to rest once and for all.
See, everybody, I'm a good guy. Oh boy, they're back again. I feel like Daily Vigil would probably love to not be up there again, especially with us over here, you know, after we shattered his fucking spirit. Will the new witnesses state their names and occupations for the court, please? Aye, Bear Caden, Governor, Barclay Prison.
What? Everyone calls me Gossip. Your other persona, if you don't mind. Everyone calls me Gossip. I sell jolty little tidbits about somebody.
I was like, wait, what's happening?
Oh, I do beg your pardon. Of course. My name is Daly Vigil. I used to be the chief warder at the Barclay Prison.
The reason you've been summoned here to court today is to testify about the jailbreak of the so-called professor 10 years ago.
Lost there, Professor. We've already been through all this for a decade ago. And then the conclusion was that there's not anything untoward happened. A convict escaped from your prison, Governor. Hardly what you call nothing untoward. Well. The convict's death certificate was somehow falsified after he was allegedly executed. And he escaped the prison inside his own coffin. A plan of that complexity could never have been carried out without the help of somebody of influence inside the prison.
Governor Caden, don't imagine that the passage of time will afford you any protection. If it turns out that you were involved in the plot to break Mr. Asogi out of your prison, then of course, the consequences will be very serious. In all likelihood, a capital punishment.
Cats! Hold on there, laddie.
Witness, Governor Caden.
Aye, sir.
You have a critical role to play in the public safety of our country. A great responsibility to shoulder. The significance of your testimony in court cannot be understated. Therefore, think carefully before you speak. And Prosecutor Sogi, if you threaten the witness again, you will be held in contempt of court. My apologies, my lord.
There's no disputing the fact that an intricate jailbreak plot was enacted 10 years ago. Clearly, you were both involved in some way. So you will testify before the court now and explain what exactly took place.
Very well. Let the witnesses give their formal testimony. Tell the court everything you know of the plot to break Asogi out of Barclay 10 years ago. All right. Here we go. The jailbreak plot. It was the day the Japanese joke was found guilty. The directive came from the prosecutor's office. I assigned the convict to the chief warder Vigil here and put the plan into action behind the scenes.
I was responsible for Asogi right up until the night of his execution, but I knew nothing of any plot.
At Denny Kenneth, there were some negotiations between the convict and the prosecutor's office.
All I do is carry out my duty for Her Majesty's Great British Empire.
A directive from the prosecutor's office? Are you saying that was the jailbreak plot?
Aye, that's right.
Who sent it? Who authorized that plan? Wow.
I didn't ken that.
You're saying you don't know?
Listen, there wasn't a thing about the professor case that wasn't unusual in some way. I didn't ask any questions. I just did what I was told to do. More than that, I couldn't tell you.
I see.
But if the jailbreak plan originated from the prosecutor's office, then one thing is very clear. As suspected, there were clandestine dealings going on between Mr. Sogi and that office.
So, what the fuck? So, like, literally from the inside, this shit was set up? But then why did we even fire Vigil? Why would they even fire him? If this was all planned out anyway, and he knew about it. I guess the point was that they weren't supposed to let anyone else know that, and that I guess they needed a scapegoat?
The jailbreak was promised in exchange for Mr. Sogi admitting to crimes he didn't commit.
That, counsel, is nothing more than speculation on your part. So, let me ask the defense. Oh, yes, my lord. I fail to see how these witnesses have any more pertinent information here. Do you intend to assert your right to cross-examination? Absolutely. I have no intention of squandering a single opportunity, my lord. It seems all you Japanese are fiercely tenacious. Very well. Proceed, counsel. So, hold on. I need to read this again. I'm just gonna read it actually myself. So the way that the Japanese giant was found guilty, his direct came from the prosecutor's office. I signed the convict to the chief order vigil here and put the plan into action behind the scenes. So Sogi right to the night, but I didn't know anything of a plan. I don't know if there was negotiations between the convict and the prosecutor's office. All I did was carry out my duty. What? So what the fuck, dude? Why the fuck did you nail this guy? I'm gonna have to, maybe he'll explain that, because that's... So we're saying that this wasn't even like some like unplanned thing. So then my question is, like on the outside, government's like, all right, you're gonna admit to this murder. Okay, fine. I'll admit to the murder, but then you're gonna sanction a jailbreak behind the scenes? Don't worry, bud. We're gonna break you out of jail. You just gotta admit to these murders. It's all good. What? That's fucking insane. And why would Genshin Sogi think that would have worked and that was gonna happen? I don't know. I'm like super confused. That doesn't make any sense to me. If I were Sogi, I would have been sus as fuck, dude. Especially since clearly the evidence was planted, right? Why would I then assume that I was gonna get out of there, that this jailbreak thing was even legit? Okay, well, let's just start from the beginning here. It was the day that the Japanese junk was found guilty. The directive came from the prosecutor's office. And you say you don't know who actually issued the directive?
Aye, that's right. All I can be sure of is that it was official.
But if it was from the prosecutor's office, that narrows down who could have issued it straight away.
And it wasn't me.
I can't say with certainty that it did originate from the prosecutor's office.
What?
There's no telling where it started. It's a fair chance it came from a higher up in the ladder. Basically, I cannot give you any indication of who was behind it.
You can't be serious.
What we can say for sure is that the order must have come from somebody in authority, I suppose.
The likes of us on the ground, as it were, didn't bother with speculation. We just get the job done.
Okay. So we're saying this is not like a proof of it had to be fucking Strongheart, even though it was clearly Strongheart. I assigned the convict to the chief order vigil here and put the plan into action behind the scenes. So, Mr. Vigil, you didn't know anything about it at all?
That's right. My only role in the scheme was as a scapegoat. That's right, isn't it, Governor?
Wow, what the fuck? Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. You sack of shit. Fuck you. God damn, dude. What a piece of shit you are, Governor Caden, for doing that. God. And then he just fired him, even though he knew he had nothing to do with it. That is so fucking scummy. Oh my God, dude. What the fuck? Oh my God, that just pisses me off. This poor man.
Simple big had to take the rap for it.
Jeez, dude, if I were Vigil, man, I'd be
hella fucking pissed. I'd be hella fucking vindictive about that shit. Alright then, who else didn't know about the plan? And only first idea, laddie. My part in the whole business was basically just dealing with the aftermath. But I wouldn't be surprised if there were other folk in the prison service who've been given similar orders.
So you don't know who else was involved?
Aye, that's right. All I can tell you is that the night it actually happened, the person at the reins was Dr. Stevens.
Dr. Courtney Stevens, or Dr. Scythe, as she's known now.
Why did I have to get caught up in such terrible business?
I was responsible for Asogi right up until the night of his execution, but I knew nothing of any plot. My God, man. Did you not notice anything unusual happening in the lead up to that night?
Oh, everything was unusual. Exception after exception. After all, it was Professor. The man had terrorized the country as never before with his crimes. In order to hide his identity, he was forced to wear an iron mask over his head. Hideous treatment. The fellow was surprisingly docile for someone who'd taken the lives of 5 of the country's nobles. Being the chief warder, I was the only person permitted to approach his cell. I can still hardly believe that I was duped by my own country.
I believe you jumped from the window of the governor's office when the jailbreak was blamed on you, didn't you?
Lost Vigil. I can't apologize enough. No, Governor. I don't believe you can. It won't change what's happened.
Wow. Yeah, good on you, dude. I'm good. I'm glad he wasn't like, no, it's not your fault. No, fuck this guy. Fuck this guy.
What else can you tell us about the situation, Governor Caden? Governor Caden.
I didn't know if there were any negotiations between the convict and the prosecutor's office. But you've already acknowledged that orders came from the prosecutor's office to arrange for the man's escape. There must have been some sort of negotiation. It's the only explanation.
Aye, well, be that as it may, I didn't care nothing about it. The witness stand is no place for telling you what you don't know for sure. I ken that much, I do. Then I presume you also know this. Not telling what you do know is a criminal offense. So you are just following orders, is that it? I'm afraid that won't absolve you of guilt here.
A man was still killed illegally, even if he was a condemned criminal. You may very well be complicit in murder, Governor.
So that's what it's to be, is it? Even with the threat of conviction, you won't break your silence.
Wow. Damn, this guy's, I guess, loyal, I suppose. All I did was carry out my duty for Her Majesty's Great British Empire. Did you carry out the plan in its entirety?
Aye, I did everything I could at the time. As you know, Gitchin Asogi was shot dead in Lowgate Cemetery after the escape. Tell me, was that part of the plan too? My instructions were to do with getting the joke out of the jail and nothing more. I cannot tell you about anything about what happened after that. Only, personally, I believe his death was the last part of the plan.
Uh-oh.
Excuse me!
Mr. Vigil, is something wrong?
Yes, sir. What can I do for you, sir?
He's saluting now? What is this, some sort of Barclay convention? What Governor Caden was just saying seemed to upset you. Did it bring something to mind, perhaps?
For the last 10 years, I've completely blotted out the memories of that time from my mind. I was betrayed by my superiors in the name of my country. Just as my father was betrayed, it seems. But you see, thinking back now,
I really can't imagine the shooting of Mr. Sugi in the cemetery was ever part of the plan.
What makes you think that?
Well, it just doesn't make sense, does it? To make the man admit to the crimes he didn't commit with the promise of a jailbreak, only to kill him in the end. That's treachery of the worst kind. But the point is, the intention was always to betray him. Why would there be any need for all the chicaneries of an escape? Ah!
Yes, that's quite true.
If whoever negotiated with Asogi never intended to keep his or her end of the bargain, it would have been far simpler just to let the man be executed in prison as dictated by his sentence. Ah, true.
It all happened in that vast chamber of secrets, says Barclay, behind the high prison walls. I suppose nobody knows what really went on in the execution room now. Yes, it's an unsettling mystery, certainly.
Truth be told, there was a wee matter that never quite made sense to me. If you believe there was some kind of negotiation on the jailbreak between Yasugi and a body at the top, it doesn't quite add up, does it?
Governor Caden, I must insist that you explain these doubts you have. By amending your formal testimony.
Cats! Aye, go on then.
Strongart's like, motherfucker. It seems to me the Japanese fella didn't have nothing to bargain with. Hold it! Admitting to the crimes, that was what he had to bargain with, surely.
How can I say that myself? After all, did the prosecution not have conclusive evidence against the Kali, eh?
This, you mean, discovered during the final victim's autopsy. There's every possibility this conclusive evidence was fabricated by Scotland Yard and the prosecutor office.
Objection!
Possibilities are all very well, but nothing has been proven. You can holler about misconduct in the trial 10 years ago all you like. But if you can't establish that it happened with hard evidence, no one's going to listen.
Yep, aye, that's right. So what I'm saying is, the Colby had nothing he could use for any kind of bargaining at all.
The witness makes an astute point. Logically, it would seem no negotiation could have taken place. And yet the plan to break the man out of prison was definitely put into practice. So he must have been armed with something that gave him an angle to negotiate. Okay, I'm just gonna... So we come to the papers now? Upon my death, all material possessions to me... It doesn't really explain anything though, does it?
Objection!
Nope, that is it. Confessing under oath to murders he didn't commit on a verbal assurance of later being broken out of prison. Sugi was taking an incredibly risky gamble.
Yeah. Very true. There was nothing to stop the British breaking their word and executing him behind closed doors anyway. Under normal circumstances, no man would stake his life on a gentleman's agreement like that.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'm like, I can't tell if I'm just not getting this or there's just something that has not been revealed yet. Okay, so that is exactly what we should be thinking. Good. Okay, I'm understanding this correctly. And they are also saying what I'm saying. Like, what the fuck? Why would he think they would do this? This is fucking batshit. Which means that Mr. Sogi must have had a trump card. Something that guaranteed he wouldn't be betrayed. Some kind of weapon.
Have us. The fella couldn't have possibly had anything like that.
But you know that he did, Governor. The Asogi papers. The name given to the last will and testament of Genshin Asogi. I'm thinking maybe what we're pointing out is not actually what's here, but what isn't here. It turns out that Mr. Asogi was hiding his will in his cell at Barclay. Chief Warder Vigil caught him with it one day.
You squealed? Did you wee rat? Did I not tell you to keep that a secret? You can't touch me now.
Wow.
Ah!
Wow. Oh my god, dude. Fuck. When Mr. Vigil caught sight of that will through the bars of the convict cell, Mr. Sogi pleaded with the warder.
All right then, but what's on that paper? A last will and testament. This will is the only weapon I have left now. A weapon? And after the convict had been killed following the elaborate pretense of that jailbreak, that document mysteriously disappeared, didn't it?
Well, yes. All the prison warders searched through the belongings in his cell, but that will was just nowhere to be found.
As I understand it, an exhaustive search was made for the document, which became known as the Asogi Papers. Governor Caden, I believe you ordered your prison staff to find it at all costs, didn't you?
Eh?
Would I be right in saying that you knew that the so-called Asogi Papers had the potential to make great waves somehow?
James, what the blaze are you blathering about? The will was found, right and proper. In the fella's cell where I said it would be.
How could that be? We're in his cell. We all searched the place from top to bottom.
Well, you didn't do a proper job, eh, you wee pilly-wally galoot? You can't criticize me now. I showed it to you before, didn't I not, young lawyer?
Yes, you did. I have the document here. It's written in Japanese and reads, "The last will and testament of Genshin Asogi."
Which means everything is as it should be.
Not quite, my lord. You see, there's an undeniable inconsistency here.
What? What inconsistency?
Mr. Asogi described this document as the only weapon he had left, and yet this will contains nothing of significance at all. Nothing that would have given the convict any leverage. Are you suggesting, my learned friend, that the last will and testament stored at Barclay Prison all these years is actually a fake? As has clearly been demonstrated already, what went on at Barclay Prison was far from above board.
That last vilification by the defense was an affront to the entire British legal system. This absurd notion of a weapon is something for which we have only the former Chief Warder's word. The man could easily be lying, or at the very least, sorely mistaken.
What? No, I definitely heard him say that. I swear.
Clearly, we need to get to the bottom of this. We need to know exactly what happened with these so-called Asogi Papers.
A waste of time.
If the will was fake, where is the real document?
Objection.
Mr. Vigil was stabbed in the back by the judiciary 10 years ago. He lost everything, very nearly his own life. And now you're going to do it again. You're ready to brand him a liar and turn your back on him without even letting him defend himself. It's clear that Barclay Prison is hiding something.
It's clear that jailbreak was masterminded by someone in the prosecutor's office.
It's clear that some illicit negotiations took place.
Is your lordship going to gloss over these obvious and reprehensible facts?
What did you say?
Where's him off the chief warder?
Have them testify again!
The trial must go on. The man's voice must be heard.
It would seem that a vocal few here are utterly blind to the truth. Very well then, let the witness testify again. Tell the court precisely what you think you saw of the convict's last will and testament. Yes, sir, my lord.
Okay. So this is where you guys sort of suggested I stop. I think I'm gonna at least hear what he has to say, and then we'll probably stop it right before I have to actually press him. The Asogi Papers.
As the warder responsible for condemned convicts, I attended to Mr. Asogi and kept watch over his cell. The night after he was found guilty in court, he was doing something with that will in his cell. We turned the cell inside out looking for it after the execution, but to no avail. I only found out about the Asogi Papers when a directive came telling me to impound them. The document was in the folds of the fellow's robe that was left in his cell. A Camino, I think it's called. In his Camino? That's a lie. We searched every inch of the man's cell. We looked through all his clothes. It can't be true.
Were you not satisfied with calling me a liar once, eh, you wee white finger?
Ha! There's nothing you can do about it now. You don't have any hold over me anymore. Other than the hold you'd like to take on my cravat, of course. Is that what you're going to do, is it? Are you going to give me a good shake again? Or are you too scared?
Gah!
Little and large. What a double act.
Well, I did ask for it, right?
We complied with the Sogi's will as far as it was possible. All of his personal effects were delivered to his family home in Japan. As a courtesy to the homeland of the most notorious killer our country's ever seen.
And we were much obliged. I can confirm that all of my father's belongings arrived safely.
Aye, you can't deny the handwriting is that of the old man, eh?
Yes, there's no mistaking that it's my father's brushwork.
Really? And this last one in testament was the man's last weapon, was it? I think we can safely assume that the convict was merely prattling, knowing that his end was nigh. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, please.
Woo! All right. Gotta sack up for this one.
Yes, my lord.
Damn, dude. This should be crazy. All right. I think then we're gonna stop it here. Save this for another time for the next video, which I'll likely just record all the way to the end, and probably throw my voice out because there's probably still quite a bit left. But holy crap, man, this is just amazing. Oh my god, dude, this game's so fucking good, so fucking good. It's just like the twists and turns, dude, are so like well done, and I can't get over how well written this game is. It is looking like, though, potentially like Genshin Asugi was entirely innocent, which, like, I don't know, I'm gonna have to see how they go about it here at the end, right? Because initially my thought process was, if they decided to go about that, I might be a little disappointed, because I thought the idea that Asugi's father wasn't necessarily this perfect man, right, was more interesting than if he was just like, oh, he was just fucking great, you know? And just he was a perfect individual and did everything right, and you know, it was just framed by this terrible evil government. I don't know. I would like to know more about how they end up concluding with this, because there might be a bit more than even we're letting on, right? We still have seemingly the evidence that we got from the Saseki case, right? That we have not used or actually brought up since then, which I think is probably going to end up being a big, important piece of evidence. I am really curious too, like, the fuck happened to that dog then? Are you kidding me? Do we not, like, check to see? They said that Genshin had no dog? What the fuck? How did they even get away with that? That's insane to me. That they could have even found him guilty of, like, well, he was killed by, all these other guys were killed by dogs. We don't know where that dog is. Nor is there any indication that he's ever had one. Blows my mind. All right, this just fucking bananas. But it's clear, though, right, that he knew something. He knew something super significant. Damn, I really wish I didn't have to stop here. But I think you're right. So I think this is a good place. We're already a good ways into the episodes. This is a good place to stop. It's just so fucking good. But all right. Anyway, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this episode. If you did, please leave a like and a favorite and subscribe if you're not already. Become Piggy Penguin aboard the SLP, where the days are always sunny and the vids are always funny. Oh god, I can't wait to see, dude. Can't wait to see this game's conclusion. Can't wait. Anyway, guys, as always, till next time, stay classy.